Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Quincy. This is
G. Bush.
this is Gbqc, your Sunday pregame warm up spread across two channels like butter on a biscuit.
In the middle of
Make-
the winter.
yeah, so definitely make sure you click the link to G Bush's channel to see when that comes up. Part two, part one is always on my channel. All right, man. This is deja vu. I feel like I was wearing a similar fit the last time we did this
You
shit.
might, you might got the same shirt on.
Might have the same jacket. I don't know.
Flip
But
that boy over.
but the Browns play Ravens again. Now the Ravens, they got some significant losses. Took AL last week.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
look like a team on the verge of the wheels coming off after getting so much luck early in this year, right? Like they got to 8-3 at him with some outrageous luck. Now it looks like that luck is starting to run out on them. The Browns are a team that's trying to come back off of this bye week and try to make something of these last 5 games. Now, the good news for the Browns, way AFC lined up, you can make something happen with them last 5 games. You can win your division with these last 5 games. You might be able to get the bye week with these last 5 games. But you also could just piss everybody off because you're
Yeah.
still in it and these games still matter. So going into this game, knowing that, the Browns have been able to prepare for the Ravens for the last 3 weeks, the Ravens have had to, prepare for the Browns and prepare for the Steelers and then get back to preparing for the Browns. The Browns have been spending the better part of a month focusing on the Ravens. Do you think that that's going to change how the Browns come out here? Do you think the Browns are going to look significantly different than they did pre-bye week? How are you feeling about this team?
Well, hopefully they do. And there's no excuse not for them to come out with some new type of energy and new type of flavor. You know, when you look at what the playbook is and what these dudes was doing last game, it's just crazy. Like, I watched that game and I watched them give Lamar Jackson give us 4 turnovers and just hand us 4 turnovers. And we've all seen Cleveland Brown stats where, you look up and be like, boo, that's embarrassing. For you to get 4 turnovers and be the only team in league history to get four interceptions and you not come out of that thing with a win, a W, that just goes to show you the lack of offense and the wherewithal by the coaching staff to put people in the best positions. For me, we talk about the tight ends and all that other stuff. For the next 5 weeks, I want to see Kevin Stefanski commit to nothing. He needs to. He in the bye week, he should have been getting back to the basics, getting back to his drawing board, getting back to that creativity, and saying my job as an offensive coordinator is not to love myself and my playbook. That's one of the things that you got to be as a tactician or a general. Even when you're in war, even when you're doing stuff on the battlefield, you can't be out here just going to the same well 5 6 7 times. What are you doing different? People got different strategy and tactics. You need to come out here and you need to empty the clip for 5 weeks. I asked you that last week, Coach Stefanski. Stop with the same plays. Give me something different, something fresh, and something that the Ravens have not seen, preferably. Get together, be out there and get it to going. And here's the thing. If you got to go back and tap Lincoln Riley on the shoulder and just say, hey, what was Baker Mayfield running at like 3-4 years ago? Can you give me 5-6 plays that he like and we can run those here? Can we do that? And second and most, like I said, and you said something in your blog. I loved what you said. You said this. Hey, it's time to get this playoff rotations. Everybody ain't gonna be getting a trot on the field. Everybody ain't getting no participation awards. We cutting this rotation down. We ain't the Demetric Feltons and the Schwartz. We need to see a constant dose of the regulars. Establish your regulars before you start getting down the street. Your mom always used to say, eat first in the house. If you ain't got enough in the house to eat, stop going down the street talking about Jimmy and Terry want some food too. You ain't got enough to eat. You better learn to go and sit down and fill up first before you go get somebody else. Get the regulars involved before you start formation subbing everybody else down the line in, bro.
Yeah, it's like they're getting too experimental with these packages. And also what I noticed is that procedurally for this team, it messes things up, right? Where I don't know if people know how like the pre-snap stuff works out, but the quarterback can't communicate the play call if there's too many people in the huddle, right? Like that's where the penalty comes from, right? The quarterback cannot step into the huddle until the right personnel is there. What happens far too often with this team is there are people running in and out of the huddle for like 5 more seconds than there should be because there's confusion on who's in, on which variation of what package. You know what I mean? How many times have we been like, why was Demetric Felton on the field here? Why was Dearness Johnson on the field here, right? Part of this comes into it, right? Because if Dearness is just on the field and you got to get a play call in, guess who in this play now? It's Dearness Johnson, right? So you got to get the play call in, right? And when the play call gets to the huddle about 5 seconds late, gives everybody obviously less time to do pre-snap reads. It gives quarterback less time to do pre-snap reads. It gives a lot of room for some procedural penalties, and it gives the defense the advantage because if you snapping the ball in 2 or 3 seconds every play, they're going to be able to get the jump on you pretty easily there, right? You know, it's not to your advantage. So when that happens routinely for this team, and when I see that happen a lot, and when we're not seeing guys like Jarvis get the amount of targets they should, even though he did get a good amount last week, or when you don't see David Njoku get the red zone targets that you want him to get, or when there are players like Donovan Peoples-Jones you feel like are horribly underutilized, or Kareem Hunt like that, right? That's where that gets into it, right? And that's why I'm like, hey, we don't need to see what we got with Dearness. We don't need to see what's up with the 4th-string running back. We don't need to see what's up with the 3rd-string tight end. We don't need to see what's up with the 5th-string wide receiver. We have Jarvis, we have Donovan, we have David, and we have, I guess, Austin Hooper, or you can rotate them in there with Kareem Hunt. Those are your 4 or 5 wide receivers, right?
That's
Boom.
it.
There you go. That's what you got there. If you need a running back and you want Kareem Hunt out wide, hey, you got Nick Chubb. And that's really the offense. But too many times we see packages where like Hunt's not out there. It's Demetric Felton. It's Anthony Schwartz.
Guys off the practice squad.
It's
Bradley,
Jamarcus Bradley.
Joe Natson.
And it's JoJo Natson taking an end around, or is Jarvis Landry throwing the ball? By the way, I got to roast Jarvis real quick on that one. Jarvis, man, I know you wasn't thinking you was going to go to your second read on a trick throw like that when he fumbled that ball. I had to be reminded this. I was talking to Engraven the other day, and he had reminded me of this. But he was like, yeah, man, Jarvis Landry fumbled the ball. And I was like, man, I can't explain that one because, like, what was he going to do? Go to his second read? I know he didn't think he was going to read the field, like roll out to his right and make a throw on the run as a wide receiver. But, you know, so maybe just throw the ball to Jarvis Landry instead of having Jarvis Landry throw the ball.
And how's about this, man? This is my problem with Stefanski. Why do you keep calling that as your only trick play? That's the only one you got, my G. Like we all know it's coming. Jarvis Landry throw pass,
or is
like
an end around to Jarvis?
It's an end around, like. Bro, it's embarrassing. It's like when little kids.
Or they did the end around to the tight end. Remember that one? They did the double reverse end around to David and Joseph.
I almost threw my fitty. I threw my fitty. I threw up a little bit in my mouth too. Like this. I'm like, bro, why would you? Like, the thing is, he called plays. It's like one of them little kids that say a joke funny one time, and everybody in the room laugh, and the little kid be like, "Ooh, they laugh."
Well, hold on, wait, G. Bush, because we're putting this on Kevin. I think that's Alex Van Pelt.
What?
Yes.
You think that's
the
him?
Offensive coordinator is designing those trick plays.
You really feel Alex Van Pelt has any say-so in this offense?
Yes.
I feel like Alex Van Pelt.
People assume he does it, but
he's a JC Penney mannequin. I feel like he stands up there with South Pole and Carl Kanai on. Just
nah, man.
Sitting up there like
Alex
this.
Van Pelt has a considerable amount of control in these play designs.
There you go.
Alex Van Pelt, I promise you, is the one designing these end arounds. Is the one because Kevin can't design plays. Like he's the head coach. Like that's too much responsibility to ask this head coach to do.
I full wholeheartedly thinks he's downstairs.
You think he's out there designing these plays
with a crayon, a red crayon and a green and a brown. Listen, he's down there cooking.
Alex Van Pelt. Alex Van Pelt does something in designing plays, like that's just, if you look at traditionally what a offensive coordinator is asked to do, it's stuff like that. And also let's keep in mind this: every time that we have had an offensive coordinator who wasn't allowed to do a lot, it's leaked out, right? It's leaked out, especially at this point, right? This point in 2019, where Todd Monken was not allowed to do anything because Freddie Kitchens was designing the whole offense, right? What leaked out? Todd Monken saying, this ain't got nothing to do with me, dog, right? Like this has nothing, right? If I promise you, if Alex Van Pelt had nothing to do with this, if Alex Van Pelt had nothing to do with this, it would have leaked out, because Alex Van Pelt ain't trying to take credit for 7 points against the Detroit Lions, or 7 points against the Minnesota Vikings, or 3 points off of 4 turnovers. I promise you, if Alex Van Pelt had nothing to do with this, Alex Van Pelt's agent would be out here trying to save Alex Van Pelt's life, because Alex Van Pelt is about to be ran out the NFL.
Oh, so you think at the end of the year he's going to be a sacrificial lamb to this offense?
I think he needs to go. Like I think he is a part of this problem.
Yeah. So he's already on a. So you feel like he has a vocal part and he's a sacrificial lamb?
Dog, I'm just telling you. Like, I'm just reading the context clues, right? Like, I'm not reporting anything, but reading these context clues. When has it been that an offensive coordinator has had no say on a struggling, disappointing offense like the Cleveland Browns have this year, and it didn't leak out? When does that ever not happen for the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I will say that it did leak out, but here's the thing.
Because I promise you right now, if this had nothing to do with Alex Van Pelt, there would be a report. Alex Van Pelt frustrated with his lack of say in the offense. Alex Van Pelt we know these reports come out. We know who usually puts them out.
But here's the thing, nothing. Here's the thing, though. This front office,
I feel like
this front office and this coaching staff are in more concert than the other ones. Hugh Jackson, Todd Haley, they was dealing.
So if they're in more concert, though, here's the thing, though. With that logic, if they're in more concert and if they're not as dysfunctional, that means that they're doing what normal coaching staffs do, right? The problem with the Browns and Pat, they ain't doing in normal coaching staffs, play design, like that's offensive coordinator job. Like if Mike Tomlin calls the defense and he calls some plays, he's not out there designing blitzes. That's Keith Butler's job, right? So there is a reason why nobody is sitting here for this offense. As bad as it's been, this was an offense that's supposed to be top 5 in the NFL. They have scored 22 points or something like that in the last 4 weeks of football. If that were the case, and Alex Van Pelt truly was had a minimal say in this because Kevin Stefanski was controlling this offense, I promise you, it would be out by now that was the case. Because at this point of the year, no matter how put together you are of an organization, when it gets this bad as an offense and it gets this embarrassing, people have to protect themselves. Like there is no loyalty to the Cleveland Browns for Alex Van. I almost called him Scott Van Pelt for Alex Van Pelt because he don't care. He's just here to work, right? So if he sees it about to hit the fan and he sees that he ain't got nothing to do with this, he's going to do what Todd Haley did. He's going to do what Todd Monken did after him, what all of these offensive coordinators didn't feel like they had enough say were doing, which is, hey, man, this ain't got nothing to do with me. He's not letting me do my job.
They have assurances. I feel all of them have blanket assurances. That's why when people say, oh, well, what's going on with Stefanski? I said, bro, he's not going nowhere.
Insurance with Jimmy Haslam.
He's not going nowhere.
Jimmy Haslam, not going nowhere. You think they trust that Jimmy Haslam's not going to make a rash decision?
Here's the thing. I think him winning the playoff game and him being coach of the year, I think that gives him a lot of at least one off season where you can't even touch him.
No. That's a rational way of thinking about this. But I have to remind you, Jimmy Haslam is a University of Tennessee booster. And what about how University of Tennessee gets down means that what about how the University of Tennessee gets down tells you that Jimmy Haslam is a man who thinks that expectations should be reasonable.
But let me give you this. I'm going to give you this, though. You facts on this one. I told people, now here's the thing. It all depends on how they end this season. If they end this season and they end this season terrible, I told y'all before, this team is too big to fail. Don't think you bringing back the quarterback, the defensive coordinator, all the coaching staff, and the quarterback, everything as is, and we're gonna come back and roll the dice. No. If they don't make the playoffs, somebody's gone. Somebody's gonna have to take an L for this.
Yeah, somebody's gonna have to go, but like I'm just saying, like I think
So
a
the
lot of
lowest
fans
common
have taken
denominator is
this.
Ben Pelt.
I think there has been this kind of like narrative out there that like it's poor Alex Van Pelt and he's not able to do anything because Kevin Stefanski's controlling everything. And I don't necessarily know where that comes from, because even when we saw Alex Van Pelt out there without Kevin Stefanski in that Steelers playoff game, ain't the same damn thing we get mad at Kevin Stefanski happened in that game where the Steelers were able to come back, right? G, the Steelers were able.
Let me ask you a
The
question.
Steelers were able to come back, and then what happened? Mike Tomlin punted, and then they called a screen, and then Nick Chubb was Nick Chubb, right? This is nothing different than what Kevin Stefanski had been doing.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro.
Alex
are we giving? I always told people, are we really giving Kevin Stefanski credit for that dub? Are we giving?
I'm not saying you're giving Kevin. No, that's not what I'm saying.
In the playoffs.
No, I'm not saying that I'm giving Kevin Stefanski credit. I'm saying when people act like the whole Alex Van Pelt is going to be different than Kevin Stefanski, or Alex Van Pelt is being held back by Kevin Stefanski, or Alex Van Pelt.
It looked like the same playbook,
or they act like act like Alex Van Pelt has no say in this offense. Right. When Alex Van Pelt was in control without Kevin being there, it looked like the same thing, which tells me that Alex Van Pelt's hands are thoroughly all over this offense. In the play design, part of things we complain about, right? When they talk about Greg Roman and his issues in Baltimore, it's about play design, not play calling. It's sometimes play calling, but that's Jim Harbaugh's job. Play calling. Play design, they go straight to G-Roll because G-Roll designs the play, because that's what offensive coordinators do. So when we talk about some of this funky play design, that's Alex Van Pelt. When we talk about these personnel packages being wild and funky, that's Alex Van Pelt. So this is where I have the whole disagreement with the people who want to give him play calling things. And I think that's just people wanting to change for change's sake. And I don't think that's a solution, because when you look at the core issues with this team, the biggest functional problems with the offense, it has been things that offensive coordinators are traditionally responsible for. So I don't think this is the dude who should also be taking on play calling responsibilities when he's not even doing his base job right.
Here for me, he's gonna have to take examples.
And remember, Alex Van Pelt ain't never called plays before, so like you're gonna get the same rookie play call mistakes as you're getting from Kevin Stefanski.
To me, so as we're gonna go along with this, follow me down the yellow brick road. If by chance the Browns don't make the playoffs and the offense looks like the offense does, I'm in 100% assurance. I'm in 100% favor that they got to go get another offensive coordinator. And I believe Kevin Stefanski can't just be like, this is my philosophy. I love tight ends and play action. They have to have another guy come in with the philosophy that he likes. Are you down for that?
What if the offense continues to look like this and they switch out offensive coordinators? They got to do something, G. They got to do something. Like, in Alex Van Pelt, I mean, like, he's not the whole problem. I'm not trying to. I think people simplify it when I say stuff like 25.
This. It's 7. Because here's the thing:
he's a part of the problem, and he's the part of the problem that's disposable. Right?
Thank you.
You can't do nothing with Baker Mayfield for next year. He's going to be on the team. So even if Baker Mayfield's the problem, can't do nothing about it. He's here to say, okay, well, he has to be part of the solution next year, because you ain't got no choice. Kevin Stefanski, man, won Coach of the Year last year. He's not going nowhere. He's staying. And you don't want to fire your head coach, especially like the head coach with the best record since expansion. Like, that's not a good look after doing that in 2 years. Nobody's going to want to take this job.
No.
So Kevin's got to stay. Who can go? Who can leave in these situations? It's the offensive coordinator. He's going to have to bounce. Like, that's just, it's a game of odd man out. It might not be all Alex Van Pelt's fault, but it ain't none of Alex Van Pelt's fault. Because if it were not none of Alex Van Pelt's fault, I promise you he would be publicly copying pleas right now, like every other offensive coordinator would in this situation.
Do you make him give up play calling too? Because if
What,
you want,
Kevin?
if you
It
want to
depends on who you bring in. If you bring in, like, let's say theoretically, if you bring in like a Gary Kubiak or something like that, or somebody with like a legit resume, with a offense that is very similar to what Kevin Stefanski does, or even the offense is different, right? If you bring in an established offensive coordinator, yeah, that's also called plays before. I can see him seeding that. The thing is, right now, that you give it to Alex Van Pelt, you're replacing one inexperienced play caller with another
yeah,
inexperienced
I don't
play
like
caller.
that.
So yeah, there would be no rhyme or reason to do that right now. Even if you think Kevin has too much on his plate or he's taking on too much responsibility, I don't really think that anybody else is really qualified to take these play calls from him, so nobody can do it. If you hire somebody who is, yeah, great. Hire somebody who can take the play calling and do that, and then see if that changes anything. I don't know if the play calling has been the biggest issue the last few weeks. I mean, execution has just been horrid the last few weeks, honestly. And the play calls haven't really been that bad to me personally. Like, there have been a couple of off ones, but like, that happens every play, and we're at the point where we're dissecting every play about the play call. I think the play calling has been not the biggest problem for the Cleveland Browns.
No,
but I understand that that's the one problem fans feel like they can do something about. So that's the one they're going to harp on. But right now, there's really no reason to do it.
I think that's a really, really strong point. Because there's a lot of things that go on when you talk about the play calling. And it's like, okay, you can go through every single play or whatever. Even the play, if you go back and watch last game, you watch the film, you watch the tape on it, the screenplay pass was wide open when Baker Mayfield just dropped the ball. Like, Kareem Hunt is
what can you do there, right?
What are you gonna do?
I mean, even the one play everybody was talking about, either if Baker throws it to the tight ends on that one screen, or if he throws it to Donovan Peoples-Jones, and nobody executed, right?
Yeah.
It didn't end up making anything, right? Donovan Peoples-Jones didn't catch that ball. Baker didn't see the tight end. Like, it's just what it is. So, some of this can be play calling. Some of this really ain't got nothing to do with play call. Some of this is just bad play design. That's not really, and that's somebody else's fault. So, we'll see what happens with them and this coaching staff. I hope nobody has to get fired because they turn it around after this week and play good football first and foremost. But if somebody does have to go, it's going to be somebody on the offensive side of the ball, because this offensive side of the ball has been awful. And if it does continue to look like this, somebody is going to have to go. Like, you can't just run it back. When you had this bad of an offensive performance, something has to shake. And the one dude who can shake, right? Sometimes it ain't who deserves to be fired. It's what pieces, what's going to shake. Which what do you call it? Jenga blocks going to be loose, right? Which one can you wiggle?
But right? I'm always going for that little middle Jenga block.
And Alex Van Pelt is that middle Jenga block. He is the one that you can take out, because you can't do nothing with Kevin or Baker right now.
And just think, we would have thought, if you would have told us about this situation a couple months ago, everybody would have thought that we would be talking about Joe Woods. It would be Joe Woods.
Joe Woods been out here balling.
And I'm people, G Bush, you're the Joe Woods hater. I said, listen, man, I go by what I see on the tape and what the production is. I can't hate, bro. Joe Woods been doing this thing the last couple weeks. I mean, he is not the lowest common denominator now. I mean, he has now replaced somebody in the Hunger Games. His name.
And the fact of the matter is, when we look at these Browns games and we look at the ones the Browns should have won and should have lost, it's not really the fault of the defense, right? There can be people who could be petty and be like, well, they would have got this stop in this game where the offense only scored 7 points. The Browns could have won. Yeah, I guess, but the offense was bigger problem than that, right? Most of these games the Browns ain't win or pull away from. It's been the offense's fault. Like, the offense, we have to come to grips. The offense has just been the most disappointing thing and the worst unit on this team by far. But
you got multiple people, and here's even Joe Woods can say this. Like, when you go in, you have evaluations. He can at least pull up on Stefanski and Barry and say, look, I got a defensive player of the year candidate right here in Myles Garrett. Now, he didn't play for a lot of people, but he ain't had this type of production. I got a top 1, 2, 3 corner over there who resurrected his career in Denzel Ward. We started a little slower in the back end, but guess what? We got Greg Newsome is playing like one of the best young secondary guys, and JOK is probably one of the best linebackers in the game, period, when he's
Yeah,
on the
and
field.
truth be told, this is kind of what we thought this defense was going to progress, right? This is kind of how we thought they were going to progress. We thought they were going to be kind of sloppy at the beginning of the season. They were, and then they kind of tightened it up. But I mean, like, this defense has had performances where they've only given up 6 points, only given up 7 points, only given up 14. You know what? They only gave up 15 in the loss to Pittsburgh. They only gave up 16 to Cincinnati. They gave up 45 unanswered to New England. That's one that you can't answer for, right? Like that's a certain L there. They gave up 10 to Detroit. They only gave up 16 to the Baltimore Ravens, who have historically put it on the Browns when it comes to points.
So the Chargers and the
forced 4 turnovers. They did not lose that game on Sunday for lack of effort by the defense. And I think we've said that more than a few times. So the defense ain't Joe Woods and all them, unless they have like a horrendous collapse at the end of the year, he's pretty much safe. Yeah. It's really about this offense has been what's been letting this team down. I mean, I feel bad for Miles in that defense, right? You get 4 turnovers, you feel like you've done enough, but this offense refuses to support its defense sometimes, right? It happened in the Minnesota game. It happened in the Pittsburgh game. It happened in the Detroit game. I mean, it happened in the Chargers game. It even happened in the Chiefs game. Like, it happened in all of these games where the offense refused to support the defense for whatever reason. And, you know, this is where we're at. We got to look at it. Now, hopefully they get a win here this Sunday. Hopefully they beat the Ravens, and hopefully they take care of business because, you know, if this offense does play at a high level, we might be able to get excited about this team again. I know that sounds wild, but if they play at a high level and they get hot at the right time, I mean, why not, right? Like, nobody else in the AFC looks that dominant, so why not? But as of right now, the offense can't be trusted. Offense is one of them kids right now that can't be left at home alone, right? You come back and your TV's broken because it's like, what did the Browns offense do? How did you break the
not
TV?
To touch my cars on top of the mantelpiece?
So these next 5 weeks are to see if this Browns offense can be trusted to be at home alone, because they have proven themselves not to be trustworthy to be left home. They need a babysitter right now.
Yes, we do.
So
yes, we do.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully better things are ahead for this team. But that's going to end it here for part 1 of GBQC. We're going to make that truck over to GBQC, G Bush's channel, and chat over there.